The ARK group process. Hi, my name is Leah and I'm with ARK, the Adults Relating to Kids program. During the next few minutes, I'd like to tell you all about ARK groups. An ARK group is a process that helps caring adults convey the unconditional love that builds self-esteem and elevates the self-concept of children. While your group can create its own schedule, most ARK for Parents groups come together once a week for 1 hour. Teacher groups usually meet once or twice a month for an hour. Let's take a look at the agenda for an ARK group meeting. The ARK group meeting. The covenants, the video lesson, the group sharing period. In a typical 1 hour meeting, the first 2 minutes are spent saying aloud together the group covenants. We'll talk more about them in a few minutes. Then there's a 5 to 10 minute video lesson. In the program for parents and other adult caregivers, the lessons deal with the basics of conveying unconditional love to kids. In the teacher program, the lessons talk about creating a nurturing classroom environment and building caring relationships with students. Then, after watching the video lesson, we'll gather into share circles of 15 or less for the group sharing period, and we'll stay in the same share circle for the remainder of our ARK group meetings. Each share circle will include a trained ARK group facilitator whose job isn't to be a counselor or to be an expert in parenting and teaching children. The facilitator's job is simply to help guide the small group process. For many participants in ARK, this group sharing period is where most of the growth and learning takes place. Then we'll end the meeting with saying our covenants together again. And by the way, ARK group meetings both begin and end on time. That's the ARK group process. The ARK group covenants for parents. Let's take a look at the ARK group covenants. The covenants consist of affirmations, promises, commandments, and respect agreements. The power of affirmations is that we will move toward and become like that which we think and say about ourselves. Each ARK group meeting begins and ends with our saying aloud the affirmations together. Affirmations are important because they help us to become the persons we want to be. We say the self-affirmations first because we can't give to children what we ourselves do not have. The group facilitator leads the group in saying the self-affirmations. Number 1, I am a unique and lovable person. Number 2, I am a person of tremendous worth. Number 3, although I make mistakes, I am worthy of forgiveness. Number 4, I deserve to be loved for who I am rather than for what I do. Number 5, I accept and love myself. Then the facilitator leads the group in saying the children's affirmations. My child is a gift. My child is a person and deserves respect. My child is the future of the world. The world I show my child is the world she will show their children. I love my child for who he or she is rather than for what he or she does. The next part of the group covenants are the promises. The facilitator will lead the group in saying the promises. I will tell my child I love you every day. If we were not told I love you by our parents when we were growing up, it's probably going to be difficult for us to say I love you to our kids, or for that matter to our spouses. However, whether our parents said it to us, we are promising that we will tell our children every day, I love you. The second promise is, I will seek the well-being of my child every day. These are our promises. Then we have our commandments. There are only 2 of them, but they are very important. The first commandment is, I will never touch my child when I am angry. Most child abuse is committed by adults who were abused as children themselves. They promise themselves that they will never abuse their own children, but in the heat of anger, they revert to the same child-rearing techniques used by their own parents. So if you feel yourself getting angry with your child, take a parent's time out. Tell your child, I'm going to go into another room for 20 minutes or take a walk to cool down while I think about this situation. Then we'll come back here together and talk about the consequences of your behavior. The timeout allows you to get your own emotions under control, and it also models for your child a proper way of handling anger. The ARK program has a lesson on natural and logical consequences and suggests other alternatives to corporal punishment. The ARK program also discourages spanking because it encourages children to hit others when they are angry, and there are more effective and more appropriate ways of disciplining children's behavior. However, there are some cultures in which spanking is seen as a last resort disciplinary tool. If you feel that you need to spank your child, remember, don't touch your child when you're angry. Take a parent's time out before administering this spanking so that it is a disciplined spanking and not a beating. The second commandment is, I will not abuse my child sexually, physically, emotionally, or verbally. The final part of the group covenants are the respect agreements. The respect agreements are the rules for group discussion that members agree to follow during the group sharing period. The facilitator reads the respect agreements to the group. Number 1, only one person at a time will speak. Number 2, we will listen to one another without judgment. Number 3, we will treat with strict confidentiality everything that is shared. What is said in the circle stays in the circle. Number 4, we will not give advice unless someone asks us for it. It is okay, however, to ask questions in order to clarify things or to obtain additional information. Number 5, we reserve the right to pass, to speak, or to answer questions only if we choose to do so. Number 6, in order to give everyone a chance to talk, we will interrupt any attempts to dominate the conversation, addressing the matter with a non-judgmental smile and the words, "Enter your name. Could you summarize for us, please?" Number 7, we will not blame others or put down ourselves. Number 8, we will put away our cell phones and other electronic devices. It will be the job of the group facilitator in your share circle to remind everyone to follow these agreements so that group discussion will proceed smoothly and productively. The group sharing period. Okay, let's review the group process thus far. An ARK group begins with our taking a couple of minutes to go through the group covenants. After that, there's a 5 to 10 minute lesson on video. And then we break into our discussion circles for the group sharing period. We'll begin by discussing the lesson. Then after a few minutes of sharing, the ARK facilitator in the group will offer an opportunity for anyone to have a situation circle. Situation circles are probably the most important part of the ARK group process. They give group members an opportunity to share a problem or difficulty they are having with their kids or students, and then to receive the wisdom of the group regarding how to go about handling that situation while still valuing the worth of the child. Something important to remember is that the topic of a situation circle does not have to relate to the lesson or to any other topics that are being shared at that meeting. Anybody wanting the group's wisdom regarding a particular situation can request a situation circle. That person will become the focus person, and after describing his or her situation, will receive the advice of individual group members regarding their situation. Here's how a situation circle works. We have what we call the rules of the circle. Number 1. The focus person begins by describing the situation. Number 2, group members can ask clarifying questions of the focus person in order to better understand the situation being described. Number 3, the focus person may request that someone take notes on the suggestions that are offered. Number 4, Then, going around the circle in order, each group member shares his or her single best suggestion concerning the focus person's situation. No elaborate storytelling, just the best single suggestion. Number 5, any group member may pass. Number 6, the focus person responds to each suggestion with a simple, non-judgmental thank you. This rule is important. Let me tell you why. Suppose I'm the focus person. I share my situation and invite group members to respond. Mary offers a brilliant suggestion and I respond with, "Oh, Mary, thank you, thank you, thank you. That was wonderful. I can't wait to try that suggestion." John is next. He's a smart man and his suggestions are usually very good, but he's coming off the top of his head and this time his suggestion is half-baked at best. I can't roll my eyes and say, "Thank you, John, next," because there's judgment there. If John is made to feel like his suggestion is inadequate in comparison to Mary's, he probably won't ever offer a suggestion again. Do you see why a simple non-judgmental thank you upon the part of the focus person is important? Situation circles are wonderful tools for gathering the wisdom of the group, and we don't want them to turn into a best suggestion contest. So the focus person responds to each suggestion with a simple non-judgmental thank you. 7. The other members of the group must also remain non-judgmental in response to each suggestion. No clapping or nodding in approval at great suggestions, and no shaking of heads in disapproval at less helpful suggestions. In an ARK group, it's very important that we show respect to each person and to his or her suggestions. Number 8. Once we've gone around the circle and everyone has had an opportunity to offer a suggestion, anyone who passed is offered another opportunity to share their single best suggestion. Number 9, the discussion circle is then open to any additional suggestions and general discussion. And the focus person can now join in the discussion. The group facilitator will help remind everyone of the rules of the circle, and you'll get the hang of it just like that. That's how a situation circle works. And let me remind you, situation circles don't have to relate to the lesson or to any other topic that's being discussed. They can deal with any situation with kids that you like to invite the wisdom of the group. As for the remainder of the group sharing period, once a situation circle is finished, the group reverts back to general discussion. And it's open floor. Anything that has to do with our relationships with children and students is fair game for the discussion during the group sharing period. Let me point out one thing, however. Please remember that in the course of our discussions, any admissions of child abuse must be reported to the authorities. In ARK, our goal is not to obtain confessions. Our goal is to promote growth and changed behavior. Our group sharing period will offer us wonderful opportunities to become even better at the most important and most difficult job in the world, raising and teaching our children. Conclusion. All right, let's take one last look at the ARK group process. We begin an ARK group meeting by saying our covenants aloud together. Next, we watch a video of an ARK lesson. Then we get into share circles for our group sharing period where we have an opportunity to talk about the lesson, have situation circles, and discuss anything we want to talk about regarding our children and students. And we conclude the meeting by saying our covenants together again. That's it. Thank you for your participation in ARK. I think you'll find that it provides a wonderful growth opportunity both for you and your kids. And now, let's close our meeting by saying our covenants together.